Bitch up. Bitch up. Bitch up.
Oh my god, bitch up.
Bitch up. 表酱，表酱。
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Bitch Up. I'm Jess. For those who are new here, Bitch Up is the one and only sex-positive podcast in China that dares to talk about all sorts of taboos or tricky issues in relation to gender and sexuality. You can find us on iTunes, and there are a few English episodes as well. There, I interviewed polyamorists, kinksters, and sex workers in the Netherlands, which is where I live now. Of course, we've also been talking a lot about intimate relationships and emotional well-being. Personally, I'm always interested in exploring everything that frees up your body and mind, that welcomes your weirdness and messiness, or in other words, that's more than nicety and decency in our quote-unquote normal social life. So here I am, an absolute beginner in a professional acting class. I took a 5-day Meisner technique workshop with Steven Dittmeyer, a great actor, director, and acting teacher from New York, now touring Europe to give acting lessons. You can find him on meisnerinternational.com. In this episode, Steven and I talked about what Meisner technique is, why it's a healthier way of acting, and what a layperson can learn from acting. We started our interview with a short repetition exercise, so you can already have a little taste of this fundamental element of Meisner technique. If you don't get why we're doing such weird things, you will find out throughout this show. So here we go. You want to start with some repetition?
Repetition?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Get connected.
Sure. I like it. You have such a great smile.
I have such a great smile.
You have such a great smile.
I have such a great smile.
You have such a great smile.
I have such a great smile.
Yeah, I love it.
You love it.
I love it.
You love it.
Yeah, I love it.
You love it.
I love it.
You make me shy.
I make you shy.
You make me shy.
I make you
You
shy.
make me shy.
You'll get over it.
I'll get over it.
You'll get over it.
I'll get over it.
You'll get over it.
I'll get over
You'll
it.
get over it.
I'll get
Your
over it.
face is so interesting.
Oh, my face is so interesting.
Your face is so
My
interesting.
face is so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's flat.
What?
It's flat.
It's flat.
It's flat. It's straight.
It's straight.
It's straight.
Don't say that.
Don't say that.
Don't say that.
I don't mean to hurt you.
You don't mean to hurt me.
I don't mean to hurt
You
you.
don't mean to hurt me.
No.
No.
I like your face.
You like my
I
face.
like your face.
You like my face.
I like
You
your
like my
face.
flat face.
I like your flat face.
You like my flat face.
Yeah, you're cute.
Oh, I'm
You're
cute.
cute.
I'm cute.
You're cute.
Thank you.
Thank me.
Thank you.
You don't have to thank me.
I don't have to thank you.
You don't have to thank me.
Okay.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah,
right?
so cool.
Yeah, so cool.
relaxing.
And very good repeating. You have to take it in. You have to repeat. The one thing that's neat about repetition is, again, notice we just did it and it's alive more. When people first do it, as you saw, they kind of tend to do it like robots, you know what I mean? And that's not what repetition's about. It's not you're smiling, I'm smiling, you're smiling, I'm smiling, you're smiling, I'm smiling. It didn't sound like that with us. You repeated exactly, and I repeated, and some changes happen not because you wanted to change it or I wanted to change it. They happened because they had to change as we're really connecting and listening to each other. But you have to repeat to take it in. See, if you don't repeat, you're not going to really deal with it and take it in. You say, I have a flat face, you say, or something, and then you say, don't say that, or, and so it's like real it's like real talk. I don't say conversation. It's like real talk, but you have to repeat so you can listen 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, before you start teaching again,
I know.
let's have a short introduction about ourselves.
Oh.
So now I'm talking to Steven.
Yeah.
And I'm Jess. You want to say something about yourself first?
What to say?
You're a teacher of Meisner technique.
Meisner technique.
Yeah.
I was an actor for many years. I was a musician when I was younger and in my teens, growing up in South Florida in the U.S. And I thought I was going to be a professional musician, and I loved music. And then one day I was asked I had an agent for the band, and she also was an agent for actors. And what happened was one day is that I was asked, you remember Miami Vice? There was a show called Miami Vice with Don on TV, very popular show in the late 80s. And 90s, beginning of the 90s, and I was asked to be on that, to be just a small little thing on it, and so I did. I said, yeah, sure, and I watched all day the actors work as they were filming, and I was fascinated by it, and I said, wow, and I really watched them all day, what they had to do, and under these imaginary circumstances, and to be as truthful as they can, and I was fascinated by it. So I asked the agent, I said, hey, I'm interested in this acting thing. And she said, well, because I was in college getting a business degree.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in marketing. And because my father was a big business guy in South Florida. And she said, well, in your college is a big theater department, which I didn't even know. On the other side of the university is a theater department. And she said, you should go there and take some classes, first if you want to get some training. And I walked over to the other side of the campus and signed up for a class. And little did I know it was going to change my whole life. And then I slowly, completely switched over to acting and getting a degree in theater. And then that's when I studied with this famous actress named Zoe Caldwell, Zoe Caldwell. In Florida, I was lucky enough. She came down to give some master classes, and she took two of us aside that saw we had the passion that we wanted to be good actors, but we really didn't know what we were doing, And she said, you should go to New York and study with Sanford Meisner. That's what she told me.
Wow.
And that's how and then from that, then I said, okay, because she said it, this famous actress, and I said, okay, and I didn't even know who Meisner was at the time. And this was in 1990. And then I started looking him up, and I was like, oh my God, he taught everyone, everyone, all that.
For example?
Steve McQueen, Gregory Peck, Robert Duvall, Diane Keaton, Joanne Woodward, Jeff Goldblum, Allison Janney, the list.
Tom Cruise.
No,
not himself,
but listen, what's very funny, you want to hear something funny? Tom Cruise says, I studied with Meisner.
Oh.
Yeah, you know why? Because he did for like 2 days.
Oh.
He did for like 2 days. He did it with Meisner or something, So Tom Cruise likes to say, I studied with Meisner.
But
like 2 days, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock did. Many people, And so then I went and studied with him. And I had a degree in theater, and so I said, and I had done many plays, and I was 24 years old, so I moved to New York, and I said, Meisner gets to work with an actor. I know what I'm doing. Wrong.
No?
No. Everything I had learned, it's like I had to start over. Everything, not to say that university wasn't good, it's good life experience, but it taught me literally, it helped me to work on my voice, to get connected with my body, and to learn history about theater and everything, but to actually learn about acting, no. Everything, I had to relearn everything with Meisner. He told us things I had never, the things you heard in class, like I said, I had never heard of in all my 4 years of getting a degree in theater. Isn't that something? Yeah. So then here I am now. And then if you asked me back then if I would be teaching Meisner, I would have said, "Are you crazy? No way." You know what I mean? Yeah, but you never know now. 28 years later.
That's how life surprises you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. And talking about Meisner, I think the one thing that impresses me was you said that Godfather's actors do that repetition exercise before their scene.
Yeah, some of them did that. Well, 4 of them stayed with Meisner. So 4 of the actors that were in Godfather, Diane Keaton, Robert Duvall, James Caan.
Exactly.
They studied with Meisner. They imagine that they're on this film and they all studied with Meisner and again, I don't know about each one. They all studied different things too, but they all stayed with Meisner and they knew that repetition can really help us to connect. That's what we just did. You know, we did repetition. I like that you say, "Let's connect, Steve," and it really makes you connect.
Yeah.
Because, wow, here we are really dealing with each other, you know, and trying to be truthful. And the tough thing with that, as you saw, is to follow your impulses, your true impulses, to be truthful. The brain says, "Don't say that. Don't say flat face." You know what I mean? Don't say things that might hurt the person, you know. And then, so in life, we hold back our impulses all the time, you know. But in acting, you cannot do that. You cannot do what we do in life of being safe and hold our impulses back. That's not what great actors do. What great actors do is they live truthfully. That means they follow every impulse at every second under these imaginary circumstances. But people don't understand how tough that is to do.
No, it is really tough.
Really
I just went through that first beginner's workshop of yours. And this is, me myself experienced some tough moments, and I see other people having difficulties in it. Because in our daily life, we think so much. And I like what you said about brain farts.
Brain fart. She's having a brain fart.
With some pauses there, and start to figure out what to do.
Yeah, what to do.
Brain fart.
Yeah, brain fart. Your brain's exploding. Yeah, thinking disease. Don't get the thinking disease. I mean, you know, we do it in life, and life is life. We thank God we have the brain, you know, because the brain has a very important job. The brain's job is survival.
Exactly.
And that, right? And thank God we have it. But I say this interesting things. I say to everyone in the class, you know what that means to the brain survival? To be correct.
Yeah.
To be right. That's what it means to the brain. So I won't get hurt. You get me? Yeah. And so we've been taught ever since we were little that to think before you do that. Think before you speak. Think, you know, because there's consequences to your actions. So we've been trained to think, to figure it out, and then respond. You know what's interesting? That it makes me think of, there's a great famous director named Peter Brook. And you know what he said? He has a book, a great book that all actors and directors should read, called The Empty Space. You know, the empty space. Theater, acting, doing a scene, and there's an empty space there, and we create something. We fill it with life, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that's called the empty space. But in it, he says, a word does not start as a word. Isn't that interesting? No, a word starts as an impulse.
Oh, yeah.
It starts as an impulse, and then you find a word to describe that impulse. You know, then the word starts to form from the impulse. So the word does not come first. The impulse comes first. And so that's why it's so important for actors to learn to follow their impulses, and that's the toughest thing.
Yeah, I love that saying. The word comes from impulse, and I also remember you saying, "Word doesn't mean a thing."
A word. Oh,
Yeah, for actors.
Yeah, for actors,
yeah.
words have no meaning. I said, no, well, you know, and I go, what? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Word, don't tell the playwright this. You know, words. But ultimately, Meisner said to an actor, words have no meaning. What? It's like this. Any line can mean anything. Any word can mean anything. I can prove it. I can say to you, I love you 500 different ways. I can say, I love you. You know what I mean?
Middle finger.
Yeah, I'm pointing a middle finger at you. It doesn't. I said the words "I love you," right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't matter the words, but this is interesting, right? So words are just words. Listen, words have information. That's Yeah. But think about this: when the writer wrote it, it had meaning to him or her, but not to you. And so. Check this out. An actor's job is to provide truthful behavior, which bring the words on the page to life.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I love that.
Acting is doing.
Acting's really doing, and truthful behavior comes from real doing. One thing we got to mention that we're talking about this is, about this following our impulses, is because who you really are is revealed by your spontaneous impulses in any moment. And
but that sounds scary for a lot of people. Imagine.
Who you really are in any moment. We're not talking about the you would like to be, or the you think another person wants you to be. That's a big one. Parents, parents. We were talking earlier. Parents, friends, boyfriend, girlfriend. We're talking about your true self. And the only way to be your true self in any moment is to do before you think. Because it doesn't start as a word, it starts as an impulse. You have impulses. You just have impulses all the time, all day. But we're used to holding them back.
Yeah, because that's so unsafe to not hold them back. And you were taught from very young that don't cry or don't be angry.
Right.
Why would you be mad?
Yeah, don't cry. Yeah, don't be nice, bird. Be a nice girl.
Be a nice girl. Yeah, kind of thing.
And so it's tough, don't cry. That's a big one, when I work with I don't want to talk too in generalities, but men and women, men and women. But a lot of men, that when I'm working with them, they have a harder time than the actresses getting emotional. Why? Because many of them were taught, from fathers and different things, don't cry, be strong, don't cry. And the crying is the true impulse.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So so it's a tough thing. You got to break through that. There's nothing wrong with crying.
No. But there's also social norms playing.
That's right.
You talk about following all the impulses, but during the taster in Amsterdam, another friend of mine went there, and he was having a lot of problem dealing with his impulse because at that moment he saw that's another friend. So he saw the girl, his partner playing with him. All he thought was like, I feel so horny now, or I feel so sexual.
And all you have to say is, you make me horny. You make me feel. You make me feel sexual.
It's so improper to say that in front of public, and especially there's also gender difference.
Gender
I can
difference.
say that. I did say that during
acting. You did.
I did say that, but I can imagine if a man says that.
I know.
That makes both the man and the woman so insecure.
I know, but the thing is, it's wild. Like, I'll tell you, I was doing a taster in Paris, and in the taster, I'm working with there was a young woman working, and she was having some problems, right, being truthful. So I got up to work with her. You know how I'll work with someone, and I get up and I start working with her. Because she was holding back, and I said, look, okay, so I look at her, and I said, try to repeat with me, and I said, I want to kiss your neck. And she said, you want to kiss my neck? And she starts feeling all kinds of things, right? Because I say I want to kiss your neck. It's just a kiss on the neck. You understand? But, okay, I mean, and I'm saying it, I don't even know if I actually even did it. Because when you work every moment, I don't even think, she said, I don't want you to. You don't want me to. Oh, I know what it was. She said, you don't want me to. She said, I don't want you to. I said, you don't want me to. And because how she said it, I knew she was just fearful of, I said, take a risk. I mean, here I am, a teacher of Meisner. I'm saying, take a risk. You won't die from me kissing your neck or something. You don't even have to. I may not even do it to you.
Exactly.
But so I mentioned this because then I got an email the next day from someone in the taster watching, from a woman saying it was completely inappropriate. Oh. You're like these men that are taking advantage of actors, actresses, and this and that. Isn't that something? Because of the Me Too movement and everything that's going on in the world. Yeah. And I think I march. I'm a feminist. I march with my wife, and I'm for equality and for women's equality and rights and everything. Here I am teaching Meisner. You have to, say the truth. And I don't, like I said, when I teach, I don't grab her breasts or something. No. I don't do anything inappropriate. But I can say, and I could even kiss you on the neck. Is not you have to, isn't in acting to live truthfully like that, right? And I got a message from someone saying, isn't that something saying it's completely inappropriate? And I was trying to say, listen, I'm teaching you that we have to say the truth, express it. I may not even actually kiss her neck, but you have to say it if it's the truth in the moment. And it really affected the actress, you understand? All of a sudden, she becomes alive because I want to kiss her neck. And she's like, oh, my gosh, and she starts feeling things. Now we start becoming alive, and the audience is watching, and it's truthful. So it's funny, right? How, it ties into what you said, this whole gender thing. And,
this is actually what I want to talk about. I didn't know that you were going to mention it. Because... I think this is really both parties' responsibility. I like how you define responsibility. It's just to respond. To respond,
the ability to respond.
So if she felt offended by you,
she has to say it. She has to say it.
I feel offended. And don't say that.
Yeah, that's right.
And also you don't skip moments. You didn't. What is probably improper is just you don't say anything and you suddenly kiss her.
Kiss her neck real fast without dealing with the moments.
Exactly.
I may kiss your neck, but it will happen because it has to happen, like it happens naturally from both people, because each moment is not skipped, or it doesn't happen. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you have to express the truth and deal with each moment. And when you start to do that, as you saw in this workshop, magic starts to happen. I mean, true connection. True connection is not intellectual connection. It's emotional connection.
Yeah.
That's what we're after, and that's what Meisner was a genius of. This repetition thing, it starts with this. It's not the people that also, by the way, that hear about Meisner, or they did a little taste of it and they think, what's this repetition thing? What is acting's? What is this? I don't get it. And why? It can't. That's not acting. It has everything to do with acting, because it starts with that and it keeps building from that. It's not the whole. It's not even the end. It's not the end of this whole work, this 2-year process. You're not even repeating anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of people have this misunderstanding that acting is pretending. So,
that's right.
Yeah, and acting is expressing your emotions and it's kind of
it is expressing your emotions. There's I say a couple of things. I said acting's not pretending, right? So it's really doing, but it's really doing under imaginary circumstances. But it's really doing, and people don't really, again, we say it quickly right now, and you really don't understand that until you start going through the workshop, right? Really doing that. It's true what's happening between us. You know, what I say to you, I want to kiss your neck, or you know, or and it's really doing. It's under imaginary circumstances. And then the other, I forgot the other thing I was going to say. Something, another point that I make about this really doing, you know, it's not pretending. You were talking about. It's not.
Well,
pretending.
maybe the other.
Emotions.
Okay.
Yeah, about that acting is not the showing of emotions. That's what you meant.
Emoting.
It's not emoting. Like actors think it's about getting emotional. It's not. Emotions, feelings come as a gift from really doing something. I love it too.
Yeah.
And that's what Meisner helped so many actors. Because think about it. If you watch someone, we don't feel for someone that's feeling for themselves. If you watch someone and they're crying for themselves, you're literally going to watch going, something's not right.
Yeah.
They're feeling for themselves. They're just self-indulgent. They're indulging in their emotions, right? But notice, if you will feel for someone that's feeling for someone else. Check it. If you watch someone that's crying for their mother, you're going to be a wreck because they're feeling for someone else. They're not feeling for themselves. And that's what Meisner meant. Acting's not about being emotional. It's about doing. Emotions will come.
Yeah. And then I also like what Meisner said. One of the biggest problems for actors is they're too self-aware.
That's right. That's right.
Because I had this misunderstanding that like a good actor, they cry, so they are so like in themselves, like in bubbles, so they're so self-involved.
Right. No.
And then it was like the opposite.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
Because you're crying because someone affects you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because you can get affected because your focus is not on yourself. It's on what's happening. What's happening with the other person. Or with what you're doing, you know, what's happening. And your focus is off yourself then. It's on your fellow actor or on what you're doing, you know. So then it's not on yourself. And the emotions will come because you don't miss anything. You see a person in front of you that's scared to let you kiss their neck. And so then you start feeling something. And it's great because and this is the neat thing. Emotion. See, bad actors, they try to like I said, they go to themselves and they try to get emotional, right? And they miss what's really going on. And because they're missing it, they do this bad acting thing where the emotions say, like they stay angry or they stay sad. And that's not how emotions work. As you saw in class, they go all over the place. Yeah. It changes in 1 second, you know, from laughing to laughing, crying, to laughing, crying, sad laughing, to angry laughing, to laughing, crying. You know, it goes all over the place.
It can't be rehearsed.
That's right.
You think that, I want to act this thing, like this angry, I use this gesture.
Right.
And then it just didn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. Isn't that neat? But most people in the world don't understand what acting is. Truly, you know, they think it's, be natural. One of the toughest things about learning to act is because in other disciplines, in painting, singing, dancing, you see when Baryshnikov leaps, you see the leap, you see the technique. But in acting is much more mysterious. You don't, master actors make it look like nothing's happening. So people go, acting's just be natural.
Be natural.
And Meisner said it takes 20 years to learn to be that simple, to trust yourself, to follow every impulse, that you can be natural in front of an audience, in front of a camera. It's so hard.
Yeah, especially if you want to control the thing.
That's right.
If you if you don't let go, then it's going to be harder. And this is really counterintuitive because you put your focus on the other person, you forget about yourself, and suddenly all the emotions just pass through you. You feel so free, and you basically did nothing, and you just remember the lines, and the lines happened through you.
You're talking about, we did some text, at the end of the workshop. So I can give actors a taste of what it's like. Most actors, when they have text, they are in control. They say, this is an I love you line. So they think, the brain says, I must do it as an I love you line. But we said then the first day, any line can mean anything. So how do I know how to say a line? How does Meryl Streep know how to say a line? She'll tell you she doesn't. It depends on what she gets from you under these circumstances. There's things that she crafts and uses her imagination, right? But then for it to be alive, we have this saying, living in the moment, right? To truly live in the moment, you don't know what's going to happen. So we love watching great actors because we watch it. You know how we watch? Like we're like, what's going to happen next? Because they don't know what's going to happen next. But people don't understand that. They, and it's very hard to understand that it's actually what I really teach all over the world is letting go. Is letting go, to truly let go, and that's very scary to do.
So scary.
I say great acting occurs in the unknown. The greatest acting occurs in the unknown.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And you also said you must not know.
You must not know. See, we read, this is why it's hard with text. We read the script, you read the scene, you learn the lines, and you know everything. You know everything to the end of the. Your girlfriend's leaving you, and she's taking the dog, but you know everything. You read the script, and you must not know. Meisner said, but how do you do that? There's some tools you have to learn to help you not know, to let go.
Yeah, that's so hard. I think one of the tools is to really mechanically learn the lines.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Right?
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I never thought that way.
Isn't that cool?
I always thought, actors must learn the lines with emotion.
With emotion and feeling and decisions, And listen, I'm going to tell you that most actors do that. Okay. Do you understand? There's a lot of bad acting in the world. That's why great actors get paid and make a living, and that's very rare. These great actors in the world. There's that, you understand? Because it's because most actors don't do that. Just like you saw in class, how many had trouble. Most actors do what you just said. They read the scene and their brain says, this is how it's gonna. This is what it is. This is how it is. Now, yes, you have intuition, instincts, right? You should as an actor, right? And you read it. But to learn the lines, Meisner said, learn them mechanically, by rote, R-O-T-E. Shakespeare uses this word. It means mechanically, without intentions, inflections. You learn it like that with punctuation. I'm really big on this punctuation because the writer gives you the path, with the punctuation and the words, gives you a path. So learn it. Learning lines is just completely technical. It has nothing to do with talent and acting. Isn't that funny? So then, like you experienced, you can let go. You don't know how the lines are going to come out of your mouth. You discover it as it's coming out because of what's going on with the other person in that moment. And that's living in the moment. But like you said, I think most people walk around the world, they have an idea of what acting is. They think like you did, like they're going to make this line be this way. Yeah, because we see in some films also, actors rehearse in front of a mirror and they were trying to... Oh God, the worst thing in the world. Yeah. The worst thing in the world you could do. And when you're a young actor, you do this. You get in front of a mirror, you go home, right? And before you go to class, you have the line, I want to kill you, and you get in front of the mirror and you say, I want to kill you. Does it look good? I want to kill you. I want to kill you. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. You understand? You say, that's the one. You go in, you're just pretending. You're just controlling the scene, and you're going to say, no matter what happens, you're going to say, I want to kill you. And it's not true. No. And that's what many actors do, but you can't do that.
But I still love the metaphor of track and the train. Can you explain it?
Yeah. I say what I said. An actor's biggest enemy is trying to control the scene. That's what we're talking about, right? So I tell them, listen, what you got to know is, let me give you an example. I said, you got to let go, and the way to let go is like this. You know, there's all these trains going everywhere around Europe, right? Thousands of trains. Excuse me. How do they get from point A to B? How do they get from Paris to Amsterdam, you know? Without a steering wheel. There's no steering wheel in a train. No. You get on board and you don't worry about which way it turns. You end up in Amsterdam. You're not going to end up in Switzerland. That's a different train, right? So I tell actors, the text is your tracks. The text is your tracks. It will take you there. It's written that way. Get on board for the ride and let go, truly let go, and you'll end up in Amsterdam because it's written that way. And so the text is your tracks. That's what I'm saying. These things, I had none of these things I had learned in university until I did this work, this Meisner work with him, and another teacher, a great teacher named Richard Penter, that was that worked many years with Meisner. And those two teachers, Richard Penter and Sanford Meisner, taught me so much about actually letting go and trust the text, that it'll take you there, without you controlling it. And that's where great acting occurs. Not many actors, even professional ones, are in control of the scene and do what they, but that's not what great actors do. Yeah, and
this
it's
is really
exciting.
The art of letting go, and
the art of letting
listening,
go.
truly in that moment. I so enjoy those 5 days of workshop because, as you said, you never listen so carefully in your life.
In your life, you for real. You don't. I say that thing. I say where you can't listen like ordinary people or the ordinary listening. We don't listen in life so well. So this is one reason to explain about repetition. Why did Meisner come up with this repetition thing? He said 2 things. One, you have to really do, not pretend. And he said listening is a real doing. More of your acting comes from your true listening than anything else. So he said, okay, listening is the number one thing we can do. There's things to learn on top of that, but none of that matters. Character work, interpretation, none of that matters if you're not truly listening, So it starts with listening, and acting's really doing and listening. And so that's a light bulb went off in his head in 1941 when he started teaching. He said, oh my God, if you can listen to me, you can repeat what I say. If you're listening. If you're not, you cannot repeat what I say because you will miss things, right? So isn't it something? And it's not ultimately about repeating. It's about listening. And if we really listen to each other, we will create true connection, emotional connection, because we're listening to each other.
Yeah, and that connection is in the presence. It's not in the past, not in your imagination. That's
It's not in the future. It's not future. It's not in the past. And Jess, I really like how you talk because these things you get them really fast. You know how you're like, yes, wow, of course, right? Yeah.
And that's something that actually we can use in our daily relationships. Because usually what people do is, you're a jerk, and you are a jerk.
Yeah, we argue.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. And a lot of people think Meisner is fuck you.
No.
And it's not. If I say, if you're listening, let's show them, and I say, fuck you.
Fuck me.
That's right. You take it in. You're listening. And then, and arguing, we argue in life. My wife and I argue, but when you really notice, when you start affecting each other, when you start taking each other in and you listen, and then things start happening, then you start connecting with each other. It's very easy not to connect by just arguing, fuck you.
Yeah, because you're not listening.
Go home. You go home.
Yeah.
No, you go home. We're just arguing. We're not taking in, and so that's not listening either. Wow, it's hard to listen 100%. So yeah.
You know what? Half a year ago, I haven't taken your classes yet, but I knew about it from my roommate who took your class.
Oh yeah.
And
What was she saying
we just
about it?
had a little practice like that, and that already blew my mind. And I was like, I'm gonna do that in my relationship as well.
Yeah,
so at that time, I was practicing that with my partner, although I knew nothing about Meisner.
Wow,
and
interesting.
we were already started to use that in our conflict. For example, at that time she said, I'm angry. I said, oh, you're angry, and I'm angry. You're angry. I'm angry at me. I'm angry at you. You're angry at me. And then that's already soothes the conflict.
That already, it already takes care of some things because you're taking in.
You're taking in, and you're listening. You accept that the other person is angry.
Is
that
it something?
was something. Yeah.
Is it something?
I haven't learned the Meisner.
I know. You're already trying it. I mean, like you've heard me say, it's ultimately I'm in the workshops, and I'm there to help you grow as an artist, to learn about acting, to be the strongest actor you can be or artist you can be, and that's what it's about. The funny thing is, all these things that you have to do to be a strong artist are very, at least what I love about the Meisner technique, it's all very healthy. It's very healthy to actually listen, It's very healthy to follow your to express truly what's going on. That's what I mean. Follow your impulses truly. It's very healthy to say the truth instead of hiding the truth. It's very healthy.
I know. And it's very healthy to first access your emotions, to know what's going on in yourself.
Yeah, you'll discover them from doing. Access it by doing and listening.
And to express, and then to accept. I think there are three different and difficult things. It's so difficult in our own emotional life and in our relationships to access to really, because a lot of people just freeze and don't feel numb or feel flat and don't feel much. And so first you need to feel a lot, and then you express that feeling with risks, and then accept it.
This thing though, when you say you have to feel things, you have to say, again, how Meisner said you can't just say, in acting terms, you can't just say, okay, I'm going to feel things. Okay, that's what I'm saying. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to be open, I'm going to feel things. Okay? So you can't just say that. That's not, you have to find something to do. Okay? You have to find the doing. And the doing will then free up your emotions. So you can't just say, I'm going to be free, I'm going to be open. You got to say, okay, what can I do that will make me open? And the first thing you can do is listen. You understand? So listening is a real doing. The emotions will come from listening.
Oh my God, that blew my mind again. So, because when you said that you need to do something to feel your emotions, I started to doubt it a second. Like, shouldn't we just sit there and feel? And so, by doing something, are we avoiding those emotions? But when you said doing is to listen, then you actually put your focus on the other person.
Because you're truly listening, and that's a doing. So then your emotions will come freely. You don't, again, if you just sat there and said, try to feel, you're going to be a little lost. You might get somewhere. How are you feeling right now? Yeah. But your feelings, emotions come from really doing something. And there's different things we can do, but the number one thing is listening. And then notice, like when I say something to you and you're listening to me and we're doing repeating, you start feeling things, right? Because of listening to me.
Now, then the tricky question is, what if you're alone and you start to feel something, and what do you...
Well, in terms
acting,
of what? In acting... well, I think maybe what you're getting to is just yesterday one of the actresses came up to me and said, well, okay, Steve, we're doing all this work on... off the other person, and what about when you're alone doing a monologue or something?
Exactly.
And like I said, this is just the beginning. The process. You just did workshop 1, and there's like 10. You know, and these are just what in my workshops for 5 days. What we do in 5 days, it's intense, right? It's band. We do in 5 days what we did with Meisner or Richard Penner. We did in 3 weeks. You know, a little slower process with more people, you know, and you don't work every day and you watch people. We do in 3 weeks, we do 5 days. What we do in 3 weeks, we do it in 5 days. It's great, though. It's intensive. It's boom. We get right to the heart of it. But
so the monologue is
the monologue.
advanced.
Yeah, so it's a little more advanced, but it's really it has to do with these things that you start learning even from the beginning. Acting's doing, right? And people say, what if I'm doing a monologue alone on stage? Well, when you're speaking, right? It's a monologue. You're alone, but you're speaking. In every monologue, you're talking to someone. Okay? You're in Shakespeare, you could be talking to the audience. Right? You know, you're not talking to a vacuum.
Talking to yourself?
You can talk to yourself.
Oh, that's also talking to someone.
That's talking to someone. You can talk to God. You're talking to the devil. You're talking to your mom. You're talking to a group of people. You're talking to your grandmother that passed away. You have to figure out, be specific. One of the things Meisner's taught starts getting more advanced is be specific. You must be specific in everything you do. If you're not, then you're being general, and it will result in general acting, which is boring to watch.
Exactly. I love the word craft. You said craft and
crafting.
Capture, and you be specific. Think about all the details. That's something I really want to learn.
Yeah. And but you know what the tough thing is? The toughest thing is you learn how to craft. And crafting is all about being specific, right? And so you learn how to be specific, how to craft, and then you must actually let go.
Oh my!
That's, but because we start learning from the beginning how to let go, and find tools, again, the real doings to let yourself let go, now you're better at letting go. Now you listen 100%. Now you catch everything. Everything affects you because you don't miss anything. Think about it. What you miss cannot affect you because you missed it. Great actors don't miss anything. They catch everything, so everything affects them. Right? So you get better and better at that. Now we can start adding things and start crafting things that you craft specifically, so it will guide you, kind of like Meisner called it. He said it's like you're the canoe, right? You're the canoe, and what you craft can make the water smooth and flat, or it can make the water little bubbly going, or it can be violent. The water can be like a storm going, pushing your canoe left and right and everything. You're the canoe. You have to go forward in that canoe, right? But the water with what you craft will affect your canoe.
Wow.
Yeah, but you have to let go for that to happen. So there's crafting and letting go. And like you said, it's not easy. If acting were easy, people don't know how hard it is. It's as hard as anything. As hard as learning to be a lawyer, a doctor, anything. I say sometimes maybe even harder, because you are the instrument. You are everything. It has to all come from you. And that's tough. But it's great. And then so in monologue, you have to decide, you have to craft and know who you're talking to, and then really do that. So do you believe me that, let's say I have a monologue, whatever it's about, if I decide I'm talking to my mom, it's going to come out a certain way if I let go and actually talk to my mom. You get me? I don't have to pretend my mom's there, just accept that I'm talking to my mom. It will come out different than if I'm talking to a group of dentists. You get me?
Yeah.
It's so one of the things is, again, from the Meisner is doing, really doing. Be specific with what you're doing. That's the start. Now I can talk, and the monologue will come out. If I let go and really do, it'll come out. Another thing that can help is this thing called emotional preparation. That is the workshop 3 that I do. That is to alter your emotional state to start the monologue, you know, because in acting, almost every scene, you're coming from something that's happened, you know. If the script says we're filming and the script says that you enter the house from your dearest friend's funeral, right? That's what the script says. When you're filming this scene, it says you're coming in from your dearest friend's funeral. We would assume that funeral would be alive in you. You get me? So there's another thing you have to learn. It's called emotional preparation, which is that funeral must be alive in you. You know what that meant to you, your friend, what they meant to you. So you're going to come in. You're coming in emotionally alive from something, right? And the big thing that Meisner taught, which we talked about earlier, which is different than method, is that Meisner said you don't have to use real events in your life. A lot of actors use real events.
Yeah, traumatic.
Not even that. No, a lot of times that. But, you know, an actor, they're filming. And they have to cry or something, it says, and they're like, oh God, I got to get there, I got to cry. And so right before they're filming, they're thinking about their cat that died last month. You know what I mean? And they're doing that so they can get emotional, right? And that's one way of working, but Meisner said it's limited in that way. Using a real event from your life is limiting. Isn't that interesting? Limiting. It's limited to only what you've experienced.
Yeah, because your experience is limited.
Your experiences are limited. You have to play Medea. Medea kills her children. You know, Meisner was great because he said, a person said, well, I don't have any family or anyone that's died or anything, you know. And Meisner said, have you ever killed your children? And she goes, no. And he said, I guess Medea's out of the question. Have you ever taught a deaf and a blind girl to read and write? Have you, Jess?
No.
Oh, I guess you can't play Helen Keller. You see, and on and on. No, we can play these things. You understand? Because you can find you don't have to work from your experiences, your true experiences. Meisner said. He said there's another way of working that's really freeing. You can use a very powerful resource you've been using your whole life, probably without even knowing it. Your imagination. And it starts with, think about daydreams. Think about how we have powerful daydreams, you know, and how you get on the tram after meeting with someone, and you get on the tram, and then on the tram you find yourself daydreaming about what you wish you would have said. And everything, right? That's how daydreams work. Your impulses start coming out. You know, you wish you told them this thing, you know, and that's how impulses work. And daydreams, you start fantasizing, and so your imagination. We all have strong imagination. Some people, you know, I meet them, they go, I have no imagination. You know what I mean? Yes, actors need to have a vivid imagination, but you can start to train yourself and let yourself daydream and imagine. Because what Meisner said is, what really activates an actor is not what is, but what could be. What if, what could be. So if you, like, remember I said to you earlier, I said, who has meaning to you? And you said, my mom, you know. And then I said, what if, and we start talking, you go, no, don't do that, you know, because it will affect you. It will affect you to go, what if I get a phone call right now, this and that. It's going to affect you. And this is the great thing about it. Then it's going to hit you, and you're going to learn how to do, what's the doing you can do to really talk to. If you talk to your mom on her on the hospital with tubes in her mouth, and you talk to her, all, you know, and you really talk to her, acting's doing, all kinds of emotions are going to come, right? And let's say it's basically kind of like you do that off stage. Now you come into the scene, right? And you're emotionally alive, and then the scene, then you have to let go. You have to just be emotionally alive, and it's only for the first moment of the scene. Bad actors hang on to, another problem with this emotions is bad actors hang on to the emotion, hang on, and they don't let it change to what's happening right now. Notice in the class, when emotions came, how wonderful it was that then they start laughing, crying, and they all kinds of, right? That's great acting. But, so you don't hang on to it. But imagine you get very emotional from doing that, you know, using your imagination with someone that means something to you, like your mom. You're emotionally alive, it does something to you. You do the scene now, you come into the scene, and the scene takes care of itself, and you're alive, and so your canoe has got rough water now, you know, and so your canoe's alive, and you're going, and then it ends, and you go, whoo, wow. Oh, what's the good news? I can go call my mom. We can go have lunch. That's the great news. It's imaginary. Your subconscious cannot tell the difference between what's real and what's not.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, it's a big thing, yeah. If you accept it, what if it can't tell? Your heart starts beating fast. You see? Your body can't tell the difference.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's pretty neat.
So, yeah, you mentioned that this is a healthier way of
I think it's the most healthy approach I've ever experienced, and I've done different techniques, and I say as actors you must try all techniques and be like sponges, you know. I don't start the class saying Meisner is the only way. It's not. There's many techniques and great things to learn. What I've found with all the different techniques I've studied and different people I've studied with, and I take as an actor, you take what works for you. What I found, and I'm a director, and everything I do in all my work and directing, everything always comes back to this to Meisner, because it's such a great foundation. It's the strongest foundation I've ever found. Of everything comes back to listening, to really doing, to following impulses, to using your imagination, to what has meaning to you, to letting go.
Yeah.
It all comes back to that.
Yeah, I found all those things quite very, very healthy.
You're very healthy, right?
Yeah, I have a question though. So what if a person is already very impulsive? And
they would probably make a very good actor.
What about in daily life? Is that healthy? Or
It's what I can tell you is that great actors, because they've worked so much in this way, because they have to in their acting be completely impulsive and truthful, that then it affects them in life some. You know, if you talk to Meryl Streep, she doesn't beat around the bush. She doesn't, she's not going to pretend things with you in life. You understand? She'll be very truthful and direct.
I know. Yeah.
Right.
I already feel it.
That's right.
After several days of workshop.
You're more direct and more truthful. Now your question is, what if someone's very impulsive, like a Meryl Streep, like a great actor? I say, that's good if you're an artist. That's very good. You have to be. Yes, life is life. Life, your real life. Excuse me. Your real life is not the same as your acting life. Remember I said that? I said it has a different set of values. You know, so you have to know that as an actor, and you start to learn that. You have to work on that set of values for acting. You have to be, it's almost like you have to be more truthful than life, right? I mean, life is life, it's truthful, but in life we hold back the truth. We don't follow our impulses, right? There's consequences, but in acting, you must do all that. So you say, what if someone's very impulsive? I say, first thing I say is, well, they would probably make a really good actor. But do they have to be careful in life? Yes. You know, you also have to, I don't know if it's checks and balances. You have to, like I said, you know, they might have impulses to drink a lot, you know, and then you're gonna have problems, you know what I mean? So you have to have your brain tell you what's best for you. You know, yes, it's very healthy to be truthful and follow impulses. You know, but it makes me think like this. You know, impulses are like this. If you're drinking a lot, your impulses truly inside, you know that you're drinking a lot. You know that you're doing something that's not helping you. That's impulsive. Right. You understand? To follow your impulses, you would... But see, a lot of people that drink that haven't recovered because they hide their real impulses, that they know they need help, and they say, I don't need help. I don't need any help. I'm fine.
That's true. And when the urge to drink comes, they just follow that urge.
When the real impulse can be... That's right, but the real impulse deep inside is, I need help. It's not helping me.
Wow.
So impulses are very healthy. Your impulses know the truth. That's how I talk about it. I had a guy once, was it with you that day, with you at the Taster in Amsterdam, that a guy said, you can't tell me what my true impulses are. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, that you know, on my impulses, you know, everyone has impulses, but he said, you can't tell me what I know. I was talking about truth, I think, and I said, truth is very important for actors, because truth is very important because it's how you judge what you see. This is in life. Truth is important because it's how you judge what you see. You know, you don't go to you don't come out of a movie or a play and say, wow, I loved it. Every moment was false. I didn't believe one word of it. Your instinct knows if you like it or not. Your instinct knows if it was truthful to you or not. And I was saying this, and this guy said, well, you can't tell me what you know, what I believe is true or not, you know? And I said, well, it doesn't really work that way. You're talking too logical. I said, let me show you, remember? And I said, let me tell you how instincts work. We're all here in this room, and there was a big glass, you know, doors and a kind of a very jungly garden outside. I said, we all go outside to this jungle area, you know, garden area, and a tiger that is escaped from the Amsterdam Zoo leaps the fence and comes in there with us in that backyard. I said, how instincts work is most of the whole group here, of us 14 people, we would all run inside, immediately run inside and close that door to get away from the tiger. And I said, but too bad for you, you die. He goes, what? He goes, what? I go, well, you have really you have different impulses. You're telling me. You're telling me your impulse is that you're going to say, oh, I want to pet the tiger, and you die. It doesn't work that way, you see? Yeah, I'll bet you 100. I'll bet all the money in the world you get inside and close the door and not be with the wild tiger, the loose tiger. You see? Yeah.
But I guess that's a little bit different because it's about the lizard brain, your most primitive, your instinctive act.
Instincts are primitive.
He's talking about something more social, more. For example, I think his argument is like, you can't say, for example, my political opinion, whether that is true or whether... So he's still using the thinking. I think there are two different...
But think about it, though. Think about even what you're saying. I'm listening to you. All impulses, right? All truth, everything starts from the primitive. It doesn't start from the intellectual. That's the brain. I'm talking about impulses, what you know is the truth or not. You understand? Impulsively. The brain can try to change what your true impulse is. The brain, you can say, oh, you know, but it's not how it works. So then really, it's all comes from the primitive impulse. It all comes and you know, it's like this. He can watch something, and he can say, like another example. We're watching a production of Hamlet, and I'm watching it. We're all watching it, and I think I feel nothing's going on. It's all pretend, and he may say, I loved it, right? But I'm going to tell you that that if it's a bad production with bad actors and they're not being truthful, instinctively, impulsively, primitively, you're going to know some things. If it's great acting, you're going to feel more. You understand?
Yeah.
And his brain might tell him that, oh, this is good. And if I were to show him and then he watches a different production, things are going to hit him differently. He's got to start being open and listening to his primitive self, not his intellectual self. Yeah. And I found this a lot. I mean, it really, really, in this work, it all shows. It all shows, yeah.
I really enjoyed talking to you, but we need to wrap up. But before that, one last question.
Yeah.
So how does that, since these great actors live truthfully during their play, like when it gets intimate and when
it's for real.
Yeah, it's for real, and they really feel attracted to each other. But in real life, for example, if they're in a monogamous marriage,
good question.
How do they deal with that? And
good
how
question.
How does the partner deal with that?
Partner?
Or both.
I mean, one thing I thought you were saying, what's interesting to me is, let's say I'm acting, you just said, we just said we really get intimate. But let's say I go to act a scene with someone, right? And I can't stand you. We're supposed to be lovers and very intimate.
Yeah.
And I can't stand you. I think you're a bitch actress, a diva bitch actress that I can't stand in real life.
Okay.
And we have to be intimate and lovers. So how does that work?
Oh, that's a
I thought that's what you first asked me.
Oh, okay, but that's also a good one. Let's do both.
Let's do both real fast. So to not take too long, an actor again has to you start discovering what has meaning to you. What has meaning to me. Every part of your performance ultimately has to come from how you feel about every moment. That's why this work with Meisner, you're getting in touch with how you truly feel about everything. Truly, impulsively, not the brain, not intellectually, right? That's why I say
so then you truly feel that.
Yeah, so but first, so you have to start discovering yourself, right? And so as you do these workshops, you start discovering more and more about yourself. You don't have to figure out why you get sad when someone looks at you that way. You just discover, this makes me sad. You understand? So then you start discovering things. So then you're able to start working where you can start doing things like, let's say I have to work with you with this intimate scene and I can't stand you as a person. So then a lot of actors get into trouble because they try to substitute. They do this, they call the word substitute. Like I love, imagine someone else. I'm going to pretend you're my wife. But see, it's, it makes me say the word pretend, and I'm going to, as substitutes to me, pretend you're my wife. But you're not my wife. I'm looking at you. I'm working with you. So I say that's not a great way. Meisner said that's not a great way to work. You might get somewhere with it, but there's stronger ways you can work. Check this out. So I say to myself, discovering myself, I discovered what makes me, Stephen, love someone. What makes me love someone? And I say, when someone completely supports me. When someone completely supports me, that makes me love them, right? So guess what? All I have to do is look at my acting partner, you, that let's say I was giving an example I can't stand in real life. I look at you and I say to myself, she supports me, you support me. And look how I look at you. And now you support me. And now look how I look at you. I'm looking at you. I'm not substituting anything. You, Jess, you support me completely.
So and just tell yourself.
That's right. I just said.
This person I know. Can't stand supports you.
That's right. I'm looking at you and I say, you support me completely. And now you see how I look at you and my eyes change, and I can start to work with you because you support me. I accept that you support me. So I can do things like this
Right.
You understand? This is from Meisner to us. It's all doing. You can accept things and use your imagination. It's using your imagination in the way that what does really affect me? What does make me love someone? What does make me hate someone? And you understand? And I don't have to go to an event or anything. I'm using notice. It's right now. It's presence. It's present.
Yeah.
You right now support me. Now off we go. You see how I can, and we do the text and the scene. And then afterwards, I stop and I go, I'm going to go to lunch with her. She's a bitch. I don't care about her. But I just did the most incredible acting, intimate. You get me? Isn't that something?
Yeah.
And then your other part of your question was about, you're talking about how does it...
if you like that person in real life as well, and you get so intimate in your
This
saying.
happens. A lot of actors get intimate and stuff, you know, and attracted maybe to each other. It's really... Great actors are very attractive because they're spontaneous and they're all these things, you know. It's very charming to be spontaneous and very sexy to be spontaneous. You know, just like in the work, in the class, you know, to be spontaneous is very charming and sexy.
Exactly.
I mean, I said this to the group today. I said, you know, when you're doing this work, actors say, wow, it's really tough to, like you said, to let go, to say whatever the truth is, or to say I'm attracted to you, or to say, you know, everything. But once you start getting used to that and you know it's for acting, you know, I had to direct my wife before where she's making out with someone.
Yeah, she's an actress as well, right?
She's an actress. I've had to, listen, my first big break in New York, right, was playing a role that I was a young gay man in 1930s Chicago.
Okay.
I happen to be straight. You know, this is how I'm wired.
This is
you know
actually what I
mean?
wanted to ask you.
You know, I happen to be straight. In this play, every night doing this play for weeks and weeks in New York City, I played a young gay man who falls in love with an older man. And luckily, I had all this training from Meisner and everything. This is right, and it was my first big break where the play did really well, and it did well, and it started my career. And people met me and stuff, and I had gay men meet me and all kinds of stuff. Sorry, gay men meet, and you know they might think I'm gay and stuff, right? Because it's so true, so believable, and I happen to be straight, and here I am being completely honest, 100% open, and kissing an older man, and being completely, even better than that, intimate, truthful with that person, right? Falling in love with that person. Because I knew how to use my imagination and what means love to me and all this, that I can let go and do it with this person and accept these things and see and be free with it and see what happens when I'm straight. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
So then acting is it's really special. It's really something because we get to experience these things. We get to be truthful. See, I say actors have to act. Meryl Streep has to act. She, you know, it's the only way she feels fully true.
Yeah.
It's because it's more true than in life. She feels more alive acting than in life.
Censorship.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so we have to act. I say don't act unless you need to. If you're acting just to be famous or something, you're going to have a very tough time, you know. I know famous people, right, that have slit their wrists, have tried to kill themselves. Who cares? Just because they're famous doesn't mean you're happy.
Yeah.
You understand? No. You have to do things because you need to do them. You want to do them. You want to express yourself. This is what artists... Oh, and this is another thing I could get into, is I can't stand actors. A lot of people that think, even young actors and actors think, I need to suffer to be a good actor. I need to live in poverty. I need to, you know...
To experience.
Yeah, you don't. You don't. Yes, life experience helps, but it's not, again, like Meisner said, you're not going using real events from your life. You can never do enough to meet all the great roles that you would be demanded to do, you know?
Yeah.
You're never gonna, Cleopatra takes 2 vipers to her breasts. You get me? Yeah, you're never going to be able to experience all that.
Yeah.
So it's not, you don't have to suffer. You have to start getting in touch with how you feel about everything. How you feel right now in the present about everything, and use your imagination with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, just that you were saying, I think you were trying to say, how do you deal with it being a part to, my wife and I happen to be actors, you know, it's all for art. Art is for, it is a craft, is a true craft, just like painting or singing or dancing. It's a true craft, and so you're doing these things for art, you know, for this craft, this skill, and when you do it and you do it well, there's nothing better. You know, it's the biggest high in the world. You don't need anything but that. You know.
Yeah. Oh, that's why I remember you said actor couples understand each other's.
They understand each other more. You know, someone. You know, I have friends that are an actor that they're married to a doctor. You know, so then some things are very much easier in their life because they have money from the partner
stable
being
job,
a doctor, a stable job. Because acting in the arts is not stable, so it's a very tough. That's why I say don't act unless you need to. You know, you want to express yourself. So, because the ups and downs are it's a tough life being an artist. I say we're gypsies. Look at me. I teach all over the world. I have 2 kids, 2 boys and a wife. But the highs are higher than what most people experience. That's the thing. Most people go through life, they're working a 9-to-5 job they can't stand. They're just because they need to survive and have money. An actor, imagine getting paid to do this. You know, and it's a tough life because you get rejected 50 times for every one job. 50 rejections, even if you're good, to get one job. Because, you know, it's such a tough, just because you didn't look right for the part. You're great, but your hair color is wrong. They don't, you know, they don't see too well, you know, how that, to take risks. So it's a tough life in a way that it's not stable like a 9-to-5, you know, job. But the highs and the what you go through are way beyond the normal person. When you get to express yourself truthfully, for real, in these amazing situations that are heightened. They're true, but they're heightened truth. That's great drama and great comedy is heightened truth. And you get to experience these things. And I'm telling you, when you finish and it says cut and you go home, it's like it's like a weight has been lifted off you. You know how you felt when you finish doing the workshop and the scene? How it's like, how do you feel when you finish it? So free. Like a weight has been lifted off you. Yeah.
And it's like a great workout. You're just being emotional and you feel so tired. Like nice kind of after workout kind
nice
of tired.
Yeah. I'm tired as always after, you know, but it's a great tired, you know. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. And thank you, Jess, for being so brave and jumping in there. You're not even an actor, and jumping in there and doing the workshop, and I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. I'm definitely gonna follow more of your workshops.
Great, cool. Thanks.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. All right.